Welcome to the Nickels and Dimes Finding Financial Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Kime, and I look forward each and every week to bringing you amazing content that will provide you with a financial education, will support you on your financial journey, and most importantly, help you to find financial freedom. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the Nickels and Dimes Finding Financial Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Kime, and today I'm really excited about my guest. I'm going to be talking with Ezra Moleni, who currently plays D1 football at Sacramento State. Go Hornets! Let's go. Ezra is currently a fiance. He is a father and an amazing running back focused on progressing his athletic career and becoming the absolute best that he can for his family. If you listened to my episode a couple weeks ago, episode 24, I talked about the financial literacy program that I've put in place for athletes that recently launched as part of my company, Universal Athletic Advisors. And Ezra is our first graduate of the program. So just to give you a brief little background before we get started, Universal Athletic Advisors is a premier financial education and service company with a division tailored specifically for elite athletes. We help put together wealth management plans that are customized to the athlete's needs, priorities, and goals, always keeping them in the driver's seat for their financial future. Our holistic approach is not only to safeguard the athlete's financial future, but also to allow them to focus on their performance, secure in the knowledge that their financial well-being is in expert hands. So Ezra, I'm super excited to have you here as our first graduate of the financial literacy program. We just launched the first step in your wealth plan as well. So I'm just really excited to talk to you today about who you are, what you're focused on, and just get some feedback on the program overall from you. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here today.
Well, let's jump in first with the one question I didn't give you a heads up on. It's my icebreaker question. So my icebreaker question is, if you could be any superhero, who would you be and why?
Shoot, any superhero, I think, um, probably Captain America.
Okay. Why?
He's in the way that he is as a hero, he's kind of the face of America. He has super strength and he protects his country. And I think that's something that, I would want to be.
I love it. I love it. That's a great answer. Well, thanks for playing along with that. Sometimes my guests kind of know that's coming if they've listened to my extra episodes, but I think it's a good precursor about who you are and what's important to you when I ask that question. So it's a good lead off for our conversation. Let's dive in a little bit more about you specifically, Ezra. Can you kind of introduce yourself, a little bit of who you are and your journey as a D1 football player?
No, I'd love to. So, you've heard a little bit about my intro. My name's Ezra Moleni. Currently 24 years old. I'm going into my senior year. I'm in my senior year right now at Sacramento State. My football journey kind of took a little, what would you call it? A different route than the usual.
Okay.
I graduated high school at 18, in 2018. So I played football my whole life growing up. But right after my high school, I went and served a 2-year mission for my church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So with that time coming in, I kind of took 2 years away from football and stepped away and focused on giving back to God in a sense, and helped serve his people and share his message. Then after that, I didn't start my collegiate career until 2021. I played 2 years in junior college out here in San Mateo, California. Um, that experience there kind of changed the way I thought about football and about life. If there's anybody out there that plays junior college ball, they know that, it's really your last chance into trying to make it into Division 1. I had a lot of sacrifice and a lot of lessons learned there, and I was grateful enough to earn a Division 1 scholarship. And I'm here at Sacramento State, and I'm into my senior years. It's my second year here, so it's really exciting to be in the position I am, and I'm truly grateful for the position that I'm in.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that. And I love that you touched on your faith and serving a mission for your church. Um, I think our faith is what grounds us in everything that we do in life. So, whether it's God, whatever it is you believe in, having that foundation to stand on, um, I think gets you through both the good times and the bad times at another level. And so I love that you took the time to do that and that you took the time to give back to the way you were raised, to your church, to God's people, like you said. In our company, we believe in the 5 F's, and they're faith first, family second, finances third, fitness, taking care of ourselves, and then fun, as the foundational components to everything that we work towards. So I appreciate that you touched on that. And from there, you talked about that, your collegiate football career took a little bit of a different path. And I like that you talked about that too, because I think that for the average person, when they think about it, you played great in high school, you got a scholarship, you had it made through college, and it doesn't always go that route.
Right.
Sometimes you've got to go somewhere else, you've got to learn some lessons, you got to decide, is this really what I want to do, and grow as an individual as well as a player to step into that next level. And I think also that when we face adversity, especially young, it builds a different kind of strength in us, and a different, I guess, dedication or commitment to
Right.
whatever we do. So you're at Sac State now, and I've shared with you, Ezra, and I think I've mentioned it on previous podcasts too. My son grew up playing football, and he wasn't at the level to play in college. He went into the military, but I miss being at his football games. I remember the first time after he went in the military, the year after he graduated high school, football season comes up and my memories pop up on Facebook. And so this memory pops up with a video of him, and I mean, it was a great play. I had a great view, the perfect video. And I was actually golfing with some friends on a golf course, and I happened to open my phone and my Facebook, and that popped up. And the next thing you know, I'm just crying in my golf cart because I miss my baby playing football. And so one of the things I've really loved is like getting to know you and follow you, and checking into Sac State more. I've been able to watch a couple of your games. They don't all play where I'm at, but I've been able to watch a couple of your games. And so not only getting to know you through working together like we have, but getting to see the person I've gotten to know translate onto the field, and see what you're all the work you're doing, the way it culminates in what you do on the field and how hard you work for that. Um, my next question would be, let's kind of start at the basics. Prior to us connecting, what really was your knowledge of personal finance and wealth?
Um, well, I actually all started when I was in junior college. I kind of initially started my major there was going into social science, and I didn't even know what it was until I linked up with the accounting professor. They were at San Mateo, and he just said, "Hey, just join one of my classes." I mean, I kind of had to anyways, just to get by for my GE. But when I took his class, I was like, man, I actually really enjoyed finance, and I didn't know that I really liked finance until that class. And from then, I kind of switched my whole major I started into accounting and business finance, but now I just switched it to economics and finance that way. And before I went to the class, I knew, like, the basics, like, here's this and that. But when I took the class, it kind of open my mind a little bit more into how can I use finance and use wealth and put it into me rather than just doing this for finding problems. So
Yeah.
I think that's what I learned was trying to translate what I learned from finance and turn it into me. How can it affect me? How can it affect my future? And that's what I learned from this class.
I love it. I love it. Um, that's another interesting point you make. I think, just like we talked about with your football career, it took maybe a little bit of an unconventional path. It wasn't just a straight line to where you are today. One of the things I think a lot of people don't realize, or maybe we just don't talk about enough, is that even through college, you want to go to college, you want to go to, you get a degree. So many of the times that path kind of wanders in that getting that first year 4-year degree because you have an idea of what you want to do or what you want to be when you grow up, so to speak. But then you get into the reality of it and the meat of the subject, and oftentimes find out it doesn't necessarily connect with you, or there's more to it than what you thought, which
Right.
is you kind of happened into this class and then getting in there you realize there was more to it than you thought. It was something that you were passionate about, shifted your focus from a degree perspective. But then also, I think the piece that's most important that you touched on is how do you apply it to you personally, not only in what you can do in the future from a career perspective, but how does it apply to you? How do you change your life when it comes to finances? Um, and I think that's really where we intersect. I had Mary Longy on the podcast. I think it was episode 19, maybe, or 17, talking about her sports management program, dynamic sports management, and her story in creating the management program. And so you are one of the athletes working in that program. And so when Mary and I got together and decided to partner up and put together this financial leg of the program for their athletes, um, there's kind of two components. They've got athletes that are in high school with D1 offers on the table. And then they've got athletes like yourself that are already in college looking at the next level for yourselves. And so I really do a group class with those high school kids. Um, Really from a perspective of they haven't really stepped into any part of life yet where they're having to be responsible on their own for finances and things. And so just to make those classes maybe even a little more fun or a little more dynamic with the conversation and their different thought processes, I do a group class with them. But with you, we went through the course in 4 weeks, and we did a session every week, just one-on-one, really talking about who you are and what your goals are to really line up for the next steps of starting to build your wealth plan. And so as we went through that process, was there anything that really surprised you when we were talking about financial literacy?
I think the main thing that really surprised me, or what I would say caught my attention, is learning that I can make, I can create wealth for myself now, for my future. And I mean, you talked a little bit about how I'm a father, so I kind of have, I just, being a parent, you just want the best for your kids. And I have almost a 2-year old, and I really enjoyed the class because I want the best for her. So learning about how I can create wealth for her in the future for my fiance, I think that's what really caught my eye and caught my attention about these classes is that I can start now. Being still in college, I'm towards the end, but if I start now, it's only going to be greater for them in the future. And that's what really caught my attention and surprised me. And yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think that you're right. Becoming a parent makes you think beyond yourself. And there is an important component, right? We have to protect ourselves. We have to save for ourselves and our futures, the things we're going to need as individuals. But when you become a parent, it's so much bigger than that.
Right.
It's, the necessities for yourself, but the life that you want to create is now for somebody else.
Right.
Um, there's a there's such a responsibility that comes along with it. So I appreciate you touching on that aspect. And we did have some really good conversations about starting young and how time is on your hands when you're or is on your side when you're as young as you are. And with the financial education, you have all the tools in your hands to figure out, okay, based on my goals, which of these tools make sense. And so together, we structured the initial plan for your long-term wealth plan and got you moving in that direction. That definitely puts some protection in place for you, but like you said, also for your fiance and your little girl, kind of that foundation for what you want to build on.
Right.
Let me ask you next. Well, I want to stay there for just a second. I think one of the things I know, so Ezra, you're Polynesian, you're Tongan.
Right.
My mom's Tongan as well. And so I know that I want to stay on family for just a second there because I know in our culture, every family's everything. Um, Good, bad, and indifferent. And I think in most families this way, in most cultures, but I do think there's something really special in the Polynesian culture when it comes to families. There's a tie and a connection there. Um, I don't know how to explain it. There's just something special there in our culture. And one of the things I've seen in following you is how now a lot of the things that you're affiliated in, even with dynamic, there's some family involved there. But I know like your grandma and your mom and your uncle recently were out for one of your games, right?
Yeah.
um so now you already mentioned you're in California, so your family, majority of family is in Utah.
Oh,
Yeah, and so they came out. I want to just talk for a second. You've got your own family that you're building now, and you want to establish all of those things financially. And of course, that same culture and everything that you come from as well. As your football career maybe took a little different direction, it wasn't necessarily a straight line. It was a little more of a curved line here and there. And figuring out school, serving your mission, all of those things that you did, how important was family in all of that and seeing you through kind of some of those twists and turns along the way?
I think having, as a Polynesian, I think that as football players, we live off of God first, family second, football third. And my whole life growing up, I just, I had the great, my dad was a great example to me. Just seeing how hard he worked and, watching your family members where the sacrifices that they make for you, that's what taught me. I mean, I'm the oldest in my family, out of four of us. So me, I had to really learn by observing. And from that, I had to copy what they were doing and make a good example for myself to myself, the younger siblings. So having family there for sure it's a bond that you can't be broken for sure. I love I always try to include my family in everything, and just I'm telling you, it's just the lessons that you learn from observing what they do or what they've done. I think that's what the most important thing about family is, and the love that they bring. They're gonna love you whether you're right or wrong.
Yeah.
And no matter what you're doing, they're gonna always push like, you want to do this? Okay, let's do this. So yeah,
Yeah. And I think, man, in the Polynesian culture, we also do it loud and we do it proud, right?
right.
And so I love getting to see some of those pictures from your game. And that was one of the games I was actually able to get here. And I know I told you this previously. Um, my mom lives with me and you remember her from when you were little.
Really?
But with her dementia, my mom and dad were never big on watching sports, but they live with me now, so they don't have a chance. Like Saturdays and Sundays are football. And they play along really good. It's fun. But my dad's really gotten into it. He's learned a lot about the game for sure. And he doesn't get all the calls right. And so we kind of chuckle sometimes, or he thinks any call against our team is like a bad call, no matter what, even if it was blatant. But one of the things I love most in watching football with mom is she has no clue what's going on. She doesn't remember what team it is we're cheering for. She's like, okay, which team? Will say the blue team or red team or green team or whatever. And then she doesn't care. Somebody gets that ball and starts running, and she's just hollering for him. But my absolute favorite thing is so many Polynesians, play football, and they've been at the collegiate level for a really long time. But I want to say in the last 5 years or so, we've really seen that growth at the professional level. And so when we watch these games, my mom reads the back of the jerseys and she looks for those Polynesians' names and she gets so excited. She doesn't know who they are, but she knows, and she'll tell you if they're Tongan or Samoan because it matters. And she'll correct the announcers if they're saying the last name wrong. But I share that just because that's a part of the culture and the pride that comes along with it. When you see somebody that comes from where you're from winning and succeeding and chasing and following their dreams, that's a really big deal. And that family component of the Polynesian culture isn't just immediate family. It's just the pride in general as a culture. And so I wanted to stay there for a minute and talk a little bit more about that. So I appreciate you going there with me. Um, Let me ask you what, well, first, let's start with, why do you think financial literacy is important for athletes, especially at the collegiate level?
For me, I think it's very important because there's a lot of information that's not taught in school. I don't know. I feel like when I grew up in high school, I really feel like I only took one financial literacy class. And like that just taught me how to write a check.
Yeah.
That's all I remember from that class. And financial literacy now and being a college athlete, there's so much more that info that can be used for us that can help us. Um, I know I feel like I always see there's little scandals or there's agents taking more money, and it's just because they didn't understand the finance part or they didn't want to read the fine print and the percentage of that they're going to give away. And it's just, I'm telling you, it's just a important piece to college athletes that they need to understand the finance part because without the finance, like you're playing the game for, because you love the game, but there's money involved when you
Yeah.
get into the professional level. If you don't understand the money, you're gonna waste it all.
Yeah.
So that's what I
No,
think.
I think that's a really good point. And you kind of touch on there already. The next question, some of the challenges or concerns that D1 athletes face that not everybody faces at that level. And so there is another level of importance in understanding it. Like you said, to make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of,
Right,
to make sure that you don't squander it, and then it's all gone, and then what? For sure. And we touch on a lot of those things. And one of the homework assignments I know in the course that I give is to watch the Netflix documentary Broke. That
right,
talks a lot about professional athletes in all different sports who threw so much money away, and at the end of their careers looking back, a lot of them were in really difficult positions financially. But throughout the course, we go through in each topic some examples of athletes who struggled and did the wrong things, and also some of those who did the right things. And they're usually pretty big names that y'all are familiar with, but it's just to kind of reiterate how making little decisions in the beginning can set you up to make better big decisions when and if those bigger paychecks come when you move on to the professional level. So
right.
it's definitely different for you guys. It's important for everybody, but it's definitely different because at a younger age you have money on the table or money coming in your direction, and then potentially even more in the future, that it can look really shiny and exciting. Um, but being able to set up the foundation for what you want when you get off the field, in your case, in the future, is a game changer. Uh, and knowing how to utilize the money, right, sets you up to be able to have fun while it's there, but also take pieces of it and put it where you need it for the long term.
Right.
So, um, so I know we touched a little bit on your fiance and your little girl. Is that really kind of the foundation, or a big part of the foundation on what pushed you to get started with your wealth plan right away as part of the program?
Yes, actually, for sure, it definitely was because of them, and also for me, it's something that I was thinking about it, and I was like, dang, like, how can I start now to build my future? And this class came along, and now we're already in over the first step now into starting that process, and it's just, I don't know, you you go through life like you said before, my life now is not only about me, it's about my daughter, it's about my fiance, and that's just how life is. And I just, having them at the foundation of me wanting to be better for them, I think that's how things should be for sure.
Yeah. And does it take a little bit of weight off your well, let me ask you this. Well, no, let's start there. Does it take a little weight off your shoulders knowing that you have that in place now as far as looking forward, even though we've just gotten started?
Yeah, for sure. It takes a lot of weight actually, and I think it's just the first step. So
Yeah.
now it's, once things start to roll and once, whether football works out or not, or if I get a good job, now we can talk about taking the next step. And it's only step one. So I think the future is bright for sure.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you on that point, how does the uncertainty of your athletic career influence your approach to saving and investing? Because I think, I mean, what is it, 1% of college players move on to the professionals in whatever sport they play. It's something like that. So, it gets really narrow at your level. And so there is some uncertainty on what could happen next. You're going to work your butt off and you have your goals and things, but how does that kind of influence your approach to saving and investing?
I mean, I think it's important to understand that I'm a student athlete. I kind of already accepted the fact that I know that football is not going to last forever. So that doesn't mean I'm not going to go out there and not give my best. I'm going to give my best every day to give it the best shot I can. But in the end, if it doesn't all work out, I know that I'm going to graduate next spring. So I have my degree. I have knowledge from this class. And hopefully from then, whether I do make it to NFL or not, I know that I have those in place that will help me start my life rather than just depending all on football. And if it doesn't work out, what am I going to do?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a really good point. And even football working out, like you said, at some point, football, at least being on the field, playing the game every single day is going to end. Right? Even if you move into the NFL and you have that opportunity, I think the average NFL career lasts like 3.5 years or something like that. And a lot plays into that. The position you play, where you go, how healthy you're able to stay, all of those kind of things play into it. And so there's only so much about that you get to control.
Yeah.
Um, and so definitely you're right. And that's something we talk pretty in depth, I think, in every class about, is that nothing's guaranteed. Well, death and taxes, those are the two guarantees we have in life, right? Death and taxes. And in between, the day we're born and the day we graduate life, um, there's a significant portion of all of that that we don't have control over. We can control making sure that we have the means to address emergencies, to live the life that we want, to provide for our families the way that we want. And I'm really proud of you, Ezra, for not just seeing that, but taking advantage of the fact that you can start now. And
Mm.
it doesn't have to be big and bold and audacious. It doesn't have to be, I got $1 million contract, put it all somewhere. You can start small, but starting small now creates really big things down the line.
Right.
And so I'm really proud of you for seeing that and wanting to make sure you have that in place for yourself and your little family that you already have. What advice would you give to other athletes who are maybe just starting to think about their financial future, or even if they're not? There's a lot I think that are just going with the flow, going through day to day, and like you said, they fully intend on football working out. What advice would you have for them?
I think that they should start now, whether it's learning, whether it's um, having an advisor. I think it's especially for this day and age where there's NIL out there, where these 17 and 18-year-olds are getting over a couple $1 million. Like they need to learn like how that money works. Like where does taxes play in it? Like where can you build from that? And I mean, with social media now, it's crazy. I think it's amazing how much, how big just one little video, like a 5-second video can get out there and you can get money from that. So
Yeah.
I think that's my advice is just to start now. Whether it's learning about it, whether it's taking a class, whether it's hiring an advisor, I think starting now will only benefit you and your future for sure.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And there's so much out there at your fingertips. Like you said, I mean, you can even go on TikTok and Google financial education or saving or budgeting. And there's a million videos that'll pop up that can at least start leading you in different directions. YouTube is a wealth of information.
Mm.
Um, I think maybe picking up a book isn't what you know, late teens or early 20s, it's not the most exciting thing, especially a finance book. But if you have questions, there's so many resources to start
Right.
getting information, and then find somebody that is in that in the financial industry that can help make sense of what it is that you're digging into and finding out so that you can decide what's important for you to get started with.
Mhm.
So really great advice there. Um, is there anywhere that your mindset has shifted? Because I think coming in, one, you're studying, you shifted from finance and accounting to economics. So I think you already had kind of that, um, you already had that financial mindset in a sense coming into the program. Um, but how has it shifted maybe even a little bit more as you went through the program in helping kind of take what you're learning and apply it to you?
I think there's just what my mindset kind of changed. Just feel like there's a lot more on the table out there that I can potentially reach. I think that it's just my mindset just went from like, knowing just a little bit and now it's just to like, man, I could really do this. I can put my money aside to this. I could help build money with this. And I'm like, that's why I said I'm really excited for the future just because I took the first step just this week with, our first step that we took. But from then, it's just like, I feel like it can go on and on and on just as long as I play my cards right. Just like you said, like learning about finances is good, but it's more about what you choose to do, your choices and your decisions that you make.
Yeah.
So that's learning about decision making as well is big. So, like I said, I think there's a lot more out there on the table. It's just for me getting to that point where I can reach for them.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great answer. And one of the things that you and I talked about, and I talk with every client about, is my job is to show you what's possible and and show you how what's possible fits in with your personal goals and dreams. And then your job is to make a decision. about where to get started and what directions to move as we can continue to work together. And I think for you, I mean, that just came super naturally. And I think it's a few different components. I think it's the fact that you have a little more of a financial base than a lot of people because of your course of study. I think it also has a lot to do with your overall background, but also having a family yourself. All of those components played into it is where when you saw those different things as I was taking you through the four different modules that we go over together, I could see when we were talking, um, where you captured different pieces and that they related to parts of your story and what was important to you that you had shared with me. And that's exactly it. There are so many options out there, so many opportunities out there to build wealth through an athletic career and outside of an athletic career. And it's just a matter of in this program sense, understanding the things you guys face as athletes and the challenges that might come your way, and making sure that that financial education is tailored to what you're experiencing because it is different for everybody. And my goal is to tailor make plans for my clients that best fit them. So
Mhm.
whatever industry they're coming from, whatever background they're coming from, and this is just another opportunity to do that for an audience that's underserved when it comes to financial education. It's not in our schools, and yet for you and other athletes like you mentioned you're having money getting thrown at you, opportunities getting thrown at you, and that's why it's so vitally important that this comes onto the stage and gives you the opportunity to understand it,
Yeah.
because it comes down to those decisions. Then you feel like you're making educated decisions, not just doing the best with what you don't know, right?
Right.
So what's one piece of advice or one thing you learned in the program that you wish you'd known a little bit earlier?
Um, I think learning about what the cash life value insurance
Yeah.
and creating that protection now. Like I said, I feel like learning about that. I never knew that was a thing. Like, we talked about there's Roths and stuff like that, but this one it starts now, protects you now, protects your loved ones now, and is just an amazing, what do you call it, model to learn about. And I really took time into reading each of what it was about, and learning about that was something I wish I knew earlier. That and probably like learning about trust, how I can put aside my assets and protect them. Think those were things that I wish I knew about before. But I mean, going into, hopefully my next step in life, I'm going to take those and apply them to what I can protect and what I can, you know, create more wealth through for sure.
Yeah. And you're absolutely doing that. Like you said, protecting your family, but that cash value life insurance gives you the ability to um, turn that protection into a wealth building tool as well. Um, it's an amazing product. I think it's a foundational product to every wealth plan, in my opinion, and it's definitely something that I take all of my clients through just to understand the tool that it can be in addition to everything else, right? Over time, we
Mm.
want to diversify and we want to build that dream life and, put money in investments that are meaningful for you, whether it's giving back to your community, going into real estate, starting your own business in the future or whatever. There's so many tools out there. It's just implementing the right ones at the right time.
Right.
That's so important. So as we kind of wind this down, Ezra, what's next for you in terms of your athletic career and wealth building journey?
Well, I think I just finishing out this season. This is my last year, so hopefully at the end of this season, I'm probably going to declare for the draft and start training for that. So there's that, and I graduate in the spring as well. So I have a lot in these next couple months coming up, but it's exciting to kind of come to the end of all this. It's just throughout school, those that take school, it's a lot of work and dedication that goes into it. And coming to the end, hopefully everything will work out the way it's supposed to be. And hopefully, I'm just excited to build on my knowledge and build, my wealth plan as my journey goes, whether it's NFL, whether it's a job. I just, it's coming to that point where I'm going to have to really sit down and grind rather than, depend on school. I got school and football every day.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming up for me.
Yeah. Life's going to be lifing real
Right.
soon, right? Even more than it already is. And I think that's a really good point. That you talk about both of those components, NFL's the dream and the opportunity, and you're going to do your best to maximize that. If that doesn't work out, you're graduating and you've got an education, you've got a ton of opportunity there. And just like I said a couple minutes ago, for me as a financial professional, it's important to make sure that my clients understand the options they have, how they work, and how they apply to them. I think it's the same thing in life that you just touched on of making sure that you're setting yourself up to have options in life in general. The option to go this direction, um, the option to, and some people maybe call them plan A, plan B, plan C. I don't know that that's what it should be called, but I think having like thinking through the process of, okay, I'd really like to go this path. And if this path doesn't work, I'm going to sell out to pursuing that path. But I also have set myself up to have this path and a third path and a fourth path. Not that any one is necessarily better than the other, because I think, like you said, if you're doing the right things and you're setting things up, it's going to work out exactly how it's supposed to,
Right.
for you. And I guess, being balanced and seeing all those opportunities in front of you, while there may be one that you lean towards more than others, maybe helps kind of keep you from ever being too high or falling too hard, because there's other things that you've set yourself up for success in life in general. And then you tie that to setting yourself up financially, and you're right, whichever path comes, um is coming loaded with a ton of opportunity for you. Absolutely. Um, I want to take a second to tell you what I've learned about you, Ezra, and that is that you have an incredibly huge heart. You are immensely proud of being Polynesian, of your church and your faith, and of family, both the one that you come from and the one that you're creating yourself. And if there's one specific big thing I learned, it's that when you get it, you move on that. And that is going to serve you well in life, Ezra, because I can say, as a 52-year-old who worked 20 years in corporate America, and yeah, I had life circumstances. I was a single mom for a lot of years and things like that. But there were times things came my way and maybe light bulbs went off. And for whatever reason, I didn't act on that.
Mhm.
And the fact that you were eager to get into this program and to learn all the information, and when you learned it, you implemented it immediately. That kind of action taking based on getting an education and understanding what's best for you, that's really going to serve you well in life, whatever direction you go. And so I'm proud to know you. I am proud to have had the opportunity to give you a financial education, and I'm proud to continue to get to work with you in building your wealth plan and setting up what you want for yourself and for your family in the future. So I'm just grateful to know you and grateful to have this time to chat with you. As we close this out, is there anything else you want to share um, about anything before we close out the interview today?
I think I talked enough. I think I'm good, but no, I really appreciate you for having me on here today. It was an honor to be here and to hopefully, I think it's just, I just want to be a message out there and hopefully an inspiration to somebody out there that's eager to learn about finance and being a college or being an athlete. I just hopefully this reaches someone and hopefully it will touch them.
I think it definitely will. I'm super excited. Next month, I'm going to be coming out to the Bay Area. I'm going to get to meet the dynamic team. And
Okay.
Mary's setting up the schedule. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be at one of your games in person. So I'm going to
It'll be
need the
fun.
link. I need the link to order my Sac State shirt. I got to show up right if I'm going to show up. So make sure get
Text
me.
me, I got you.
All right. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get out and come out and spend some time with you and chat with you a little bit and some of the other athletes that I've been blessed to work with already. But really meet the dynamic team and, really keep pushing this program forward because I think it's important. And I think having you here today is a blessing to me to hear from the other side of the equation, how much it meant to you. And so, again, I just appreciate you being here. Go Hornets. I love seeing you play on the field. So keep working hard. Tell your fiance and your baby girl I said hi. And I'm sure we'll be talking again soon, Ezra.
Well, thank you so much, Natalie.
Absolutely. One last quick thing. How can people follow along with your journey? Where do they find you?
I mean, social media, probably Instagram, Facebook. You can search me up on Google Chrome. Google, it's
There
good.
you go. All right. Well, go follow along. He posts some fun stuff with his family and definitely stuff from the field and things. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you. I cannot shut this down without telling you. So Dynamic posted a survey asking, what was your pregame favorite? And I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm going to tell you right now, I got it right. I put in my guess and Mary wrote back and she's like, you nailed it. So tell the world, who is it you like to listen to pregame to get you pumped up?
And pregame, listen to DB by the bag.
There you go.
Come on.
There you go. I love it. Ezra, thanks again for your time today. Have a great week. Take care of yourself and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for joining me today and Ezra on the Nickels and Dimes podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Kime, and I look forward to continuing to bring you amazing content each week that will educate you, support you, and help you to find financial freedom. I look forward to having you listen to future episodes, and until then, take care and stay safe.